time to start working on the back for the guitar. As you recall, this one's walnut to match the sides. Now what I've done here is I've taken the two halves of walnut and jointed them on the shooting board, same as we did the soundboard, and then I've glued them together in the exact same way and traced the template onto my blank and ripped it out, or cut it out in the bandsaw, staying about a ½ inch outside of the template line. Put it in the bandsaw. Now I'm going to take my tooth plane and plane this down to thickness. It's thinner than the top was, about 1/10 of an inch or so, 2.5 millimeters, somewhere in that range. And same procedure as we used to the side. We'll use the tooth plane on the to get the bulk of the wood off, and then we'll use the random orbital sander. Now, quite often on the back of the guitar, you inlay a decorative strip right down the center, and use the Dremel to route a channel, just like you did with the sound hole, whatever the depth of your inlay material is, or half the depth of the back, just like we did on the soundboard, and that gets inlaid in there and glued. Now, on this, and then scraped off. Similar process with the sound hole. On this particular guitar, I like this center coloration so much on this back that I have decided not to put a decorative strip down it, because there's a very light section right in the center, and if I put a decorative strip, it actually covers up most of that light wood, and it actually, I think, takes away from the guitar. So I've decided not to put one on, as you will see on lots of guitars that have nicely grained wood. It's totally your option, but if you're going to do that, this would be the time to do it before we put any braces onto the back. Now, decide which face of your back is going to be inside the guitar, and retrace your template onto it. Now, on this template, just as with the braces on the soundboard, I've also marked the locations with 4 red lines of where the back braces will go, and just take and make marks indicating those on the back. Now, along the all the way down the center seam of the back, we're going to put a graft along there to kind of bridge that seam so it never comes apart. And these are just pieces that were left over from cutting the soundboard out. And the important thing is, like on this piece, the grain runs this direction. And you want the grain on that graft that runs down the center of the back to also run across the joint. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cut, on the band side, I'm going to cut 5/8 wide strips out of these to use for that graft, and the grain will go across the strip. You need about a total of 18 inches. But the pieces just go between the braces, so you don't get any piece longer than about 6 inches. So I've cut a whole bunch of pieces off there, much more than I'll need for the one guitar, but I'll use them on the next guitar. Always good to have extras hanging around. So I've taken these and I sanded one surface off so it's flat and ready for gluing. And now all I do is I take it and I lay it on where I've marked where the 4 braces are going to go here. I've also marked 3/4 of an inch in from the end, because the heel block, here we go again, the tail block will be in there. And I've also indicated where the head block will be on here. Now, theoretically, the head block's 2 inches. I've actually marked 1 3/4 inches. We'll trim that to length in the later stage. But we don't need this graft going further than that. So all I do is take the graft and lay it in where it's going to go, and make a mark where the brace is going to be, or just a little bit to this side of it. You're actually going to make these grafts overhang over into the braces a bit, and then we'll trim the graft off and go over the braces on and make a nice tight fit. And then because the grain runs this way across these things, you can just take your chisel and go ka-thunk and cut them off like so. And that one's ready to glue on. And then you just continue on down, marking them as you go. So we're ready to glue that on. Now what I've done is I've clamped my ruler along here such that it acts as a stop for these pieces so that they're exactly halfway across the center seam. Now all we need to do, get the cap off the glue, is take these pieces and get some glue on them. Let's go and push them up against that ruler. Get them to grip. Like so. Go through and do them all. And once you got the glue on all those, and they're kind of sitting in place, not let her add too much anymore. Take a large caul. Recognize that? That's the thing we used when we were doing the sides on. One of the long bars. And put a couple of clamps on it, on the ends. Once you're happy that that's in place, take your ruler away before you glue it down to this board and clean it off, because there'll be glue squeeze on the edge of that ruler now. Now while you're waiting for the glue on that center graft to dry, it's a good time to take your braces that you've made up and contour them on the bed sander. I've taken a template just like I did on the braces to the top. Now once the glue is dried on that, the next thing we're going to want to do is we want to arch this so it has a semicircular profile, and so the edges almost come right down to nothing at the back. And the way I typically do this is I take my block plane and just run along the edges of it for a while to knock and get the bulk of it shaped using the block plane. And then once I got that pretty much what I want to do, I've made a little sanding block here which actually has a curved radius in this dimension, and I've glued sandpaper in there. And then I'm able to run on the top of this to put the final curve on that graft.